Welcome to my live. Hello and welcome to Just Ask JT. This is my live podcast every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern, where I answer your questions in real time. And today we are going to be talking about why you can't get a job interview. So I always have a topic at the beginning of my podcast where we get into it deep, and then I'm going to open it up for questions later on. Okay. But today we're going to talk about why you can't get a job interview. A new study by the American Staffing Association just came out that said 40% of people who have been looking for work in 2024 have admitted that they have gotten goose egg, 0 job interviews. Let me say that again. 0 job interviews, TikTok, 0 job interviews, LinkedIn and YouTube. By the way, hey, everybody, that is not good. 40%, almost half the people looking for work right now haven't gotten a single job interview. And it's messing with their self-confidence. It's making them depressed. It's giving them anxiety, rightfully so, because you have to have an interview to get a job. In fact, you should be suspect if a place is giving you a job without interviewing you. That's usually a scam. So what do you do when you're not getting any interviews? You find out why you're not getting any interviews. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Okay. So the first thing that I'm going to tell you, as a 20-year career coaching veteran who used to work in the staffing and recruiting industry, who worked and coached people through the dot-com bust, who coached people through the 2008 Great Recession, and who has been coaching people through the entire pandemic and what's happening now, which they are now referring to as the white-collar job recession that's happening right now, I can tell you that 9 out of 10, and that's not me just saying 9 out of 10, I am telling you right now, 9 out of 10 job seekers are looking for work the wrong way. And that's because they're doing the things that no longer work. So, number one, if you are sending out applications online and sitting around and waiting for a phone call, old way of doing it, not getting results. If you don't believe me, look at the TikTok and the videos that I did on LinkedIn and YouTube a week ago where I showed you the stats. A study came out by Pathrise that said it's taking people on average over 294 job applications to get a job. That's a 0.3 response rate. To give you an idea, getting into MIT, one of the hardest schools in the US, they have a 4.5% acceptance rate. So out of the thousands of people that apply, 4.5% get accepted. You have a better chance of applying and getting into MIT than you do right now of applying and getting into a job by applying online. So how are people getting jobs? They're getting jobs by actually getting to the hiring manager. The problem is the ATS system. See, that applicant tracking system where you apply is being stuffed. It is being flooded with people that are not a fit. How is that possible? Well, first of all, a lot of people are now utilizing AI tools that just blindly you apply them to a whole bunch of different things. And so tons of unqualified people are now applying to jobs. So a company might have posted a job in the past and gotten 50 or 100 applicants who were probably a fit. They're now within 24 hours getting 1,000 applicants, many of which are no good, but they have no simple way to go through it and figure out which are the good ones or which are the bad ones. And so now they have to throw the entire thing out because it's of no value to them. And they have to use some other source of finding the people that are actually a fit. So the channel or the path or the road, whatever you want to call it, of applying online for a job right now is not looking for work because it does not work. That is the truth. And so you've got to stop and go, but hey, all these companies say apply online. Just because they tell you to do something, and this is what's blowing people's minds, doesn't mean it works. I work in staffing and recruiting. I talk to recruiters all the time. When I went to LinkedIn's largest conference in October, the number one topic amongst the 2,800 professionals that were there was this idea of we can't handle all the bad applicants we're getting. We have to find totally different ways to do this. Our online systems aren't working. So they even know it's a problem. Okay. So if 9 out of 10 people are sitting around right now applying online and waiting for a job, they are going to spend months and months and months until they finally realize they're not looking for work. Meanwhile, they're going to drain their savings and they're going to lose their self-confidence, and everyone's going to be asking them why they don't have a job yet. right? If that sounds like you, you've got to stop the insanity. If you want job interviews, listen up. I am going to teach you today what you need to do to get an actual job interview right now. Okay, in this really competitive time. Okay, so the first thing we now understand is applying online, bad, not working, right? That path, that channel, that road is gridlocked like on a highway and you're not moving. Okay, that's not going to work. Doesn't matter what kind of car you have, you're not moving. Doesn't matter how talented you are, you're not moving. Okay, so what we have to do instead is find a different road, a different channel, a different path. Okay. Now, you've heard that referred to as back channeling. And some people go, isn't that just networking? No. Networking is the idea of connecting and getting to know one professional with another. Back channeling is the idea of navigating your way through to a hiring manager. Do y'all see the difference? Networking is about spanning your connections so that when you do need to back channel, you can get to somebody faster. Everyone should be networking. Your network is your net worth in your career these days because it is a lot more about who you know, who knows somebody who can get you to the right person. And the most successful people know that. Back channeling is the idea of you navigating your way through at a company you want to work for to get yourself to the hiring manager, to get your resume in their hands, because the likelihood they're ever going to even see you is like zero. Remember, they don't have access to that applicant tracking system. That's a barrier. That's a gatekeeper. If you get through that ATS, now a recruiter looks at it and they decide which 5 or 10 candidates they're going to forward to the hiring manager. So now you got another gatekeeper to get through. How about we get rid of both gatekeepers and get straight to the decision maker? That's back channeling. That's why it works in this market. Okay. So you have to have a list of companies that you want to target because you need to be strategic. I don't want you searching all day long. My company's called Work It Daily. It's not called Work It All Day. You shouldn't have to look for work all day. When done correctly, it's very strategic and the time you spend is very condensed. So if you have a list of companies that you know hire for your skill set that meet your criteria, your goal is back channeling in there in order to get to the hiring manager. Now, this is where people go, but I don't know anyone there. Well, guess what? There's this incredible tool called LinkedIn that's free for you to use that can help you identify people that work in the department where you would be working. Notice I did not say help you find recruiters and hiring managers or recruiters in HR, because again, they're a gatekeeper. And I'm going to have a lot of recruiters coming at me. They get really mad when I tell the people to go around them. But if you're desperate for an interview, I said today's the show where I'm going to show you how to get an interview, then you have to go around them in this market. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain to back channel. Okay. So what you're going to do is find people that work in the department, because those are the individuals you can ask to connect. Now, you don't need to pay a premium. You don't need to pay for LinkedIn's premium service because those in-mails, they don't really work anyways. They're too spammy. All you need to do is send a customized connection request, meaning when you ask them to connect and it says, do you want to add a note? You go, yes. And then you say, can we connect? I have a quick question about your company. That's it. Now you're going to have to play the numbers game because not every single person you reach out to in that department is going to connect, but someone will. And when they do, you now are able to message them. When somebody connects with you on LinkedIn, you can message them directly, free of charge. And you are going to message them and say, hey, I'm a huge fan of your company. Here's why. And I want you to talk about something about their business model you respect and admire. Okay. Not that you heard they're a great place to work or they won the best this award or that award. Tell me something about their business that's smart, because that proves you did your homework. All right. So, hey, I'm a big fan of your company for this reason. So much so that I saw that you posted a job and you list the job. And I'm thinking that's in your department. I would love to know your number one tip to stand out, because I'm sure they got thousands of applicants and I would really just love to stand out in this process. Could you offer me a tip? Could you offer me some advice? Now, why are you asking for that? Because it's too soon for you to say, can you put me in touch with a hiring manager? You have not developed any rapport. You want to show a sign of respect. This person has a job at the company you want to work at. Heck, they're in the department you want to be in. So you acknowledge what you respect and admire about the company. You mention that you saw the job, but instead you ask for advice. You say, what's your number one tip? What would be your advice? What do you think helped you get a job there? I would love your advice. Everyone's comfortable giving advice. Everyone loves giving advice. And when they give their advice, you know what they're going to do? They're going to check out your LinkedIn profile. They're going to see if you're qualified. And if you've done your LinkedIn profile correctly, they will not only respond to you, but they might say, well, I'm happy to forward you to the hiring manager. You see how that works? This is how people are getting interviews. This is one of the biggest ways that people are getting interviews right now. They are back channeling into the organization, into the department, and getting their way to people and getting the advice, which can lead to the intro to the hiring manager. Now, you might say, oh, JT, that feels like a lot of work. And my answer to you is, how badly do you want a job? And I know that sounds mean, but at some point in time, you have to ask yourself, do you want to keep doing the thing that we 100% now know doesn't work? 100% no, it doesn't work applying online. You want to keep applying and failing and failing and failing and waste months and lose a lot of money out of your account? Or do you want to put a little strategic time and energy into getting there and getting to the people that can help you get a job? Okay, that's the secret. Now, let me tell you some more good news. Let's say there's a company you would love to work for and you don't see any jobs posted that you're a fit for. Can you still find people that work in the department that you would love to work in? Could you still follow this same exact back channeling process, but instead say, I'm a huge fan of the company. Here's why. I would love to work in your department someday. Can you give me your one piece of advice on what it would take to stand out to earn that kind of opportunity in the future? Same approach, seeking advice, which is going to get them to look at your LinkedIn profile, which is going to get them to respond to you. And it's a numbers game. Like I said, you're going to do that to multiple people in the organization so that you can get one or more of them to respond back. Now, why does that matter? Here's the cool part. When recruiters search for you on LinkedIn, they see who you're connected to at their company. Little insider tip. The more people you are connected to on LinkedIn at a company, the higher you will show up in the results for the recruiter, because that's as good as a referral. Let me say that again. So if you have a company you'd love to work for and you start reaching out to the people in the department and doing this technique, and you get maybe 1 out of 5 people to accept your connection request, and you get up to like 5 people accepting your connection request, and you haven't even met them yet. But now the recruiter goes searching, because there's something called a hidden job market right now where they don't post a job, but they go looking for talent. The algorithm considers the fact that, hey, you have the skills the recruiter's asking for, and you have 5 connections at the company. Let's rank them higher. Because they know that connection matters. So you should start connecting with people now at companies you want to work for so that you can be tapped for job interviews. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, if you're just dialing in, today we're talking about how the heck to get a job interview right now in what is one of the worst job markets for white-collar workers, okay? They're calling it the white-collar job recession. Right? Don't believe me? Look it up. It's on Wall Street Journal. It's on Business Insider. Okay? It's bad out there. Also, the American Staffing Association just came out with a survey that said 40% of people that have been looking for work this year admit that they've gotten 0 job interviews. So this is why we've got to learn a different way to look for work. And sadly, 9 out of 10, yes, 9 out of 10 people are looking for work the wrong way. I just walked you through back channeling, which is very different than networking, as a way to do that. Now I'm going to give you the bonus tip of all bonus tips. Because if you would like people knocking on your door saying, hey, I think we have a job that's a fit for you, this is the thing that you will need to do. So quick show of hands here. Give me a like, give me a love. How many of you would like a recruiter actually contacting you? Yes? Okay. Here is the thing that you need to do. LinkedIn changed its algorithm. It is a true social media platform now. They have 1.1 billion users. Recruiters pay thousands of dollars a year for a very special tool on LinkedIn that allows them to search for candidates. And then this algorithm that LinkedIn is spending millions of dollars a year perfecting ensures that the recruiter gets the top 50 candidates that best match their criteria. Now, they changed the algorithm because it wasn't working. The way the algorithm was evaluating candidates was on just their profile. And so recruiters were complaining because they were spending thousands of dollars on this tool and saying, gee, LinkedIn, the top 50 people you gave me, half of them like are bogus and the other half like aren't doing anything on LinkedIn. They're not active. So LinkedIn said, okay, how do we give a recruiter the top 50 people that are currently looking for work, that are active, that are real, that are human? And they said, we become a social media platform. The people that are following the company, the people that are posting content in their LinkedIn feed related to their skill sets and their industry, that are frequently posting, those people are clearly engaged and want, are real, are looking for people to contact them, right? And specifically, if they're following the company, want to connect with that company. So when you follow the list of companies, I called it a bucket list of companies you want to work for on LinkedIn, when you comment on their content, and when you post your own content on a daily basis about your industry and skill set, you create this beautiful little perfect storm that the algorithm eats up and ranks you higher in the search results. People often complain and say, JT, the only time I get contacted on LinkedIn are for jobs that I'm not a fit for. That will always happen. It's a free platform. There are going to be spammers. But if you want the right people contacting you, you get out what you put in, folks. So you are going to have to start creating content, following companies, and commenting. If you don't do that correctly, you will not show up in the search results. You are invisible to the platform. You are invisible to the algorithm because you're not engaging with the platform. So that is the secret sauce. And again, that doesn't cost you any money, $0. If you were to do that 15 minutes a day, oh my gosh, total change. And if you don't believe me, come on over to Work It Daily. We work with thousands of job seekers who finally realize they're looking for work the wrong way. And they come into our platform, and the first thing they do is go through our job search program step by step by step, so they know exactly what to do and what not to do. We take all the guesswork out and teach you everything I mentioned today, okay? Then we teach you brand strategy because you are a brand. And if you want for the rest of your career, companies knocking on your door, I mean, how would that feel for the rest of your career? Companies are hitting you up and saying, hey, we think you're right for this job. Wouldn't you rather that? That's possible. But you get out what you put in. And if you don't believe you're a brand and you don't know how to market that brand, then they're not going to know you exist and they're not going to knock on your door. It's that simple. So to recap today, if you want to get an interview, a job interview, number one, stop applying online. Doesn't matter they tell you to do it. It's not working. It's broken. Number two, learn to back channel, not network, back channel. Number three, understand you're a brand and start branding yourself on LinkedIn. When you learn these three things, everything changes. And you know what? If you don't believe me, I'm going to prove it to you right now. Okay. Because if you are ready to invest in yourself, if you believe in yourself and you're like, I get this, I'm sick of this, I want to speed up my job search, then you are ready to see for yourself. If you come into Work It Daily, you will go right into our wins column. There's a feed inside our platform and you will see story after story every single day. Every single day, somebody's posting their story in our platform and telling you exactly why this works. Okay. That's our amazing little community. I have a whole little community of job seekers supporting each other, helping each other, sharing hacks with one another. It's amazing. Right. But you're also going to get the courses that teach you what not to do and what to do. So we can 15 minutes a day, you could be watching little video courses and within 1 week know exactly what you need to be doing and speed this process up. You could be supported by really positive people and you can get coached by me and the team. And you can do that all right now for free. So if you go over and grab a 7-day free trial at Work It Daily, write it down right now. Everybody write it down. Workitdaily.com. We are offering a 7-day free trial. You can go in and learn how to get a job interview. And write it down because if you're not going to do it today, I guarantee you at some point in time, you're going to realize this is insanity. And you need to learn the right way to do this in order to get it done. But please, folks, if you've learned anything from today, if you want a job interview, applying online is not the way to do it. It is not in this job market. In a different job market, sure, but not in this one. And you've got to do what works in this market. Okay. And I will say again, If you're like, oh, this sounds like too much work, then you don't really want a job. You don't, because everything I'm talking about is not hard. It's not rocket science. It's not brain surgery. So you're making excuses. You're one of the 9 out of 10 who would rather keep doing it wrong. And I know that's hard to hear, but you're here for me to tell you the truth. You really are. I don't want to see you suffer anymore. I'm seeing way too many people draining their savings, draining their 401ks, and all they keep doing is applying online and saying, I keep getting rejected. It's not your resume. It's not your LinkedIn profile. It's your strategy. Your strategy is wrong. Applying is wrong. And you've got to learn the right way to do this. Okay? All right. I hope that made sense to everybody. Again, you want a job interview? You know what to do. I just outlined it for you, the 3 things you need to do. More importantly, I just gave you a way to try it free for 7 days. Come on over, join me. My job search masterclass is this afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern today, every Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 Pacific. My masterclass just for my members. So you sign up free for 7 days today, you can come to masterclass, okay? Awesome. All right, let's get into some questions, right? Just ask JT. Let's do it. Let's do it. So question here from Bill. I've been out of an industry for almost 10 years. Back then I was a Top Gun performer for many years. How can I best reapproach that industry? Oh, I love this. Okay. What do you do when you want to get back into an industry you were in previously, but there's been a gap? Okay. The first thing you need to understand is every year you're out of an industry, they assume you've lost 10% of your knowledge. So if you've been out for a decade, they're thinking you are outdated. And that's why they're automatically going to dismiss you. So what we have to do is what? Show them you are current and you do know what you're talking about. This is where branding comes in handy. For anyone that's trying to get back into an industry, changing careers, you have to prove you know what you're talking about right now. So if I were you, I would be posting every single day, multiple times a day if possible on LinkedIn, about current challenges in the industry, hot takes on the industry, trends in the industry, techniques in the industry, all the things that you would be required to talk about to prove in an interview that you are in fact current. You can do in a LinkedIn feed to brand yourself. Now, I'm going to give you a great story to prove my point. I had a client and I posted it yesterday, so you can see his own. I literally just hid his name, but I posted his exact post so you can see it. Go check it out on LinkedIn. I had him start posting content, okay? And specifically video of himself answering the most common questions he gets asked in job interviews, right? So we started recording videos and posting them. This is a big technique that I teach and coach on inside Work Daily, and you'll see why, okay? So he started doing this, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, a CEO that he had talked to a year ago contacted him. Now, he was bitter. This CEO had interviewed him 5 times and then ghosted him for a job. 5 times and then ghosted him. Now, out of the blue, the CEO messages him on LinkedIn and says, hey, can we chat? I believe I have a consulting gig for you. I have a job for you. It's funny because the client messaged me and said, I'm still so angry. Should I just ignore him? And I said, no, absolutely not. It's your branding. You've branded yourself. He knows he needs you now. He didn't need you then. He needs you now. Let's have a conversation with him. Sure enough, he gets on the phone with the CEO. You know what the CEO said? I've been stalking you on LinkedIn and everything you're talking about. I have the exact project that I need you. You are the person I need for this job. Content works. And here's what I'm going to tell you. If you've ever heard this thing, a picture's worth 1,000 words, right? What that means is when you see something visual, we take in a lot more. It communicates more than just the written word. So photographs are very powerful, right? Well, if a picture's worth 1,000 words, when it comes to your career, a video's worth 1,000,000. You taking just 1 minute to answer the very same question that you would have answered in a job interview anyways, and putting it in your video feed gives what? First of all, the algorithm a boost. LinkedIn loves you for that. Secondly, when the recruiters find you, they hear you and go, oh, this person knows what they're talking about. And this is how you speed up and get what? Job interviews. Job interviews. Video is going to be one of the biggest ways to speed up your job search in the next year, because recruiters and hiring managers are trying to authenticate and validate your real. Remember what I said earlier? If you twirl back a bit, if they're getting 1,000 applicants, the majority of which are bogus in print, in Word, it doesn't work for them anymore. So they're looking for new solutions, and the solution's video. More and more companies are saying, look, video is the only way we know someone is who they say they are and knows what they're talking about. So if we know that to be true and we want more people to find us, we want more recruiters calling us, video is how we do that. Because they see us on video answering the question, knowing we're real, and they're like, ooh, I've got to talk to this person. That is the secret sauce. So that's what you need to do, folks. If you want to get back into an industry or if you want to change industries, that industry needs to know that you are current. And the only way you're going to prove you're current is if you start posting lots and lots of content that proves you're current and that you know what you're talking about, with video being the most important one. Awesome. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to head over here to TikTok and see what we've got for questions. Again, welcome everybody to Just Ask JT. This is my live podcast. I do it every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm here helping you understand what you need to do to earn more, stress less, and love your work. That is my job. That is my mission in life. Okay. So great to have you all here. I love it. I love this. So what do you do when you've got a distant family member that works at a company you'd like to work for? Should you reach out? The answer is a big fat yes. Folks, LinkedIn was built to connect people. If you're on LinkedIn, you should expect that people will reach out to you and they expect that you will reach out to them. I would go to this distant family member and use LinkedIn first because that's the professional channel. Hey, I know we're related through Uncle Jerry or Aunt Jill. Was wondering if we could connect. I have a quick question about your company. So you got to get them to connect first. Then you follow the protocol. Here's why I think your company's awesome. Here's the kind of job I'd love to do for your company. What one tip do you have to stand out? We do not ask for the job. We do not ask for them to introduce us to the hiring manager yet. We ask for advice. We're basically saying, I acknowledge that you are in a position of power, that you have something that I aspire to. So I seek your advice, your counsel on how to achieve that. This is how you start that back channeling process, especially with a family member. Love it. Love it. Good job, folks. Let's see. I have an interview tomorrow night. Okay. So what do you do when you have an interview lined up and then HR messages you and says, I want to talk to you afterwards? Dun, dun, dun. What does it mean? Well, first of all, you're still having the interview. So that's a good sign, right? If anything, I'd be more worried that they were canceling the interview. But it's more likely that after that interview, the HR is looking for feedback and validation. So you should be prepared to do another mini interview with that HR person, because if that hiring manager that you're interviewing with likes you, they may want to fast track you, and the HR person realizes that. So they're going to guide you and coach you on what's going on and give you some feedback, but also ask you some questions. So I would look at that as back-to-back job interviews, and I would prepare accordingly, especially if you really want this job, because the hiring manager you're interviewing with is what we call the user buyer. They're going to use your services. So they're going to be evaluating you on your ability to do the job. The HR person is the technical buyer. They're the person that's making sure that you fit all the other criteria of working at that company, like personality, culture, values, etc. So even if you had the skills and the hiring manager liked you, that HR person could still knock you out of the running. So you want to be prepared for that and make sure that you speak to both of them, because you're going to have to get past both of those in order to get the job. Yeah. By the way, I'm just going to give a little shout out to all my LinkedIn folks, but I want to remind you all of something. On LinkedIn, when you comment on LinkedIn during my podcast, it posts to your feed. So if you want to ask a question and you don't want it to be in your LinkedIn feed, that is why I stream live on YouTube. You can follow my channel and go there at 1 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or you can follow me on TikTok and watch it there. So for my LinkedIn folks that don't want to have any questions or comments posted in their feed, that's why you should either watch me on TikTok or YouTube. Okay? Awesome. Oh, I love this. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Let's take a look. I left a job because of a toxic manager. Ooh, worked there for 6 months. Now I'm applying for another job. I need to fill the application form that requires the name of the supervisor. What shall I do? Oh gosh, this happens to a lot of people. Okay, so folks, You really haven't lived, you really haven't had a full career until you've taken a job and been blindsided with either a toxic manager or a crazy coworker or a bad business. You know what I'm talking about, right? You get in there and it feels like a big old bait and switch. And it gets so bad that even though you want to hold on, you make the decision to quit. Okay. Now, I can never advise you to quit. We know the challenges that run into that. Okay. One of the challenges is people feel like, well, if you can up a quitting job, then you might up and quit their job. So quitting is never the ideal, folks. Whenever possible, we wait and we get a new job. But if you got to that point in your life and you quit, you're going to have to explain it. You're also going to have to provide the name of the supervisor or the company, and they're likely going to want to do a reference check. So the rule of thumb here is an old saying: the best defense is a good offense, which means we're going to be proactive. So the first thing we're going to do when we fill out the application part of it is put down the company and the person that you worked with, because you need to know that they're not going to call them first. Nobody's going to call that company until much later stages. They have to have an interview with you first. You're going to talk to them first. So please never be worried about, folks, if you have you're filling it out and saying where you worked previously and who was your supervisor. Never worry about that when you're first applying, because they're not calling them right away. You're going to speak to them first, and you're going to get a chance to shape the narrative. So just fill it out. Okay. Don't leave it off. Don't hide anything. Fill it out. Okay. You want to be truthful here. Omission is like lying. When it comes to your career, omission is like lying. So please fill out everything accordingly. Okay. Don't need to explain it on the application. Just fill it out. Now, when you get the interview, if you go through the first round interview and you're successful and you're moving into the second round interview, okay, there is a time where you can bring up why you left that job and what they can expect when they call for a reference check. And this is where you really need to do something called the MOA, the moment of accountability. Now, the MOA is not that you say you did anything wrong. It's not it. You didn't do anything wrong. Instead, it's about being very objective about the choices you made in the moment and understanding the pros and cons of that choice and being able to articulate the pros and cons of that choice to the person that's interviewing you. Because if you can't articulate that and you sit there and try to hide it or finesse it, you're suspect, and they can tell. So in this situation, they're going to eventually ask, why did you leave your last job? And you're going to use the MOA, the moment of accountability. And you're going to say something like, that's a great question. If you had told me when I took that job that I would end up quitting after 6 months, I would have never believed you. When I took it at the time, I was really excited. I loved the company. I loved the job that I would be doing. Unfortunately, when I got in there, it became apparent that the manager and I did not have the same values and the same mission. And it got increasingly more difficult to work for this manager. And so, as hard of a decision as it was, because I don't like quitting, I've never quit jobs in my life, I had to make the decision to quit because I just couldn't see myself there long term. And the conditions with this manager were just more than I was comfortable dealing with on a day-to-day basis. And I own that because I know what quitting says. I know that you could be worried that I would quit your job, but I have to tell you what a big decision it was and how much I never want to do it again. And so here's what I've learned. Going forward, I'm really looking for an environment, and I'm really interviewing hard to make sure that it is a match and that the expectations are clear and that the manager and I are on the same page. And that's why I'm really excited about this opportunity with you. Just already speaking to you today, I can tell it's a different environment. And that's really exciting to me because this has been hard and I own it and I can't change it, but I really want to put it behind me. I really want to get back to work and move on. And so I wanted to be transparent with you. And that's just the reality of the story. See how that works? It's balanced. It's honest. Folks, when you try to hide it or you try to lie, you're rolling the dice. And normally they're going to figure it out. Most of the time, you're not a good liar. You think you are, but you're not. But more importantly, at some point in time, they're going to go reference check. And if you don't go on the offensive and say this and you just try to go, oh yeah, everything's fine or whatever. When they go to reference check and that person gives you a nasty recommendation, they're going to be blindsided, and that looks like omission, and omission is guilt. So you've got to do the MOA, the moment of accountability. You got to be proactive and land that early so that when they go do that reference and they get them giving a snarky reference on you, they're like, oh, just like they said, I guess the person we're interviewing is correct. We all understand that it's not one-sided, right? We know there are toxic bosses out there. We know there are bad companies out there. We know there are crazy coworkers out there. How you choose to explain it and take ownership of what happened, not saying you did anything wrong, but ownership of it is what it is key. And it can help even more if you say, looking back, here's what I would have done differently. Because when you can learn and grow from the experience, it really matters. Now, I'm going to finally say one more thing here. Folks, how you answer interview questions literally makes or breaks you getting the job. And this is a hard question. So if you aren't being coached on the right way to answer the tough questions, I seriously say you need to get help. Whether you work with me and my team at Work It Daily, this is a big part of what we do, helping people get the right verbiage, or someplace else. Please do not sleep on the fact that if you do not answer interview questions right, you will not be considered. And these are hard questions, right? And you got to get it right, or you will not move forward. So please invest the time and energy in working through this and understanding the right things to say, because it will have all the impact on the world. It'll make all the difference in you getting the job. Awesome. Okay. Oh, congratulations. Alex got an offer. That's awesome. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Getting a lot of questions on RIFs. What do you do if you've been part of a RIF, a reduction in force, a layoff, a restructuring? Well, the good news is that one's not your fault, right? You didn't get fired for performance. You didn't get fired for cause. You got let go because the company couldn't afford you anymore. The company had to make some financial cuts, and you were part of that. The most important thing you can do when asked why you left a job, if you've been part of a RIF, a layoff, or restructuring, is to give them the facts as succinctly and as even keeled, right? As objectively as you can. And so I always tell my clients, you're going to say, that's a great question. Unfortunately, my company had a RIF, a reduction in force. 10% of the workforce was let go. That translated into 55 employees, and I was one of them. That's it. Give them the numbers. The numbers speak volumes. That's it. That's all you need to say. Nothing else you need to explain. It's just a reality, especially in this market where there are so many reductions in force, so many layoffs and restructurings going on right now. Being able to give those data points is all you need to do. Yep, all you need to do. Awesome. Okay. Let's see. Okay, Stuart's asking, let's see, JT. I've been told referrals would be key. I've been doing a lot of what you're suggesting, gotten referrals and then applying through them, but still gotten no interviews. What would you say there? Ooh, okay, let's talk about that. All right. So let's say you've been doing a really good job of back channeling and getting referrals into companies you want to work for. And then you're applying, but you're still not getting job interviews. Okay. So what you have to ask yourself now is your branding tool actually landing correctly? So the process you're using. My first concern there is that maybe your resume is actually not on point, because if they are handing the resume to the hiring manager and they're not seeing you as a fit, then it could be something with the way your resume is laid out. Resumes have no bearing through ATS systems. There's over 100 different ATS systems, folks. So you can't design a resume that gets through all of them. So stop trying. Resumes that hiring managers can respond to and quickly assess you on, that's very, very important. It's called a skimmable resume, and it's what we teach. It's the toolkit that we have at our company, and we help you design that resume, and then we proofread it for you and make sure it's done correctly. So if you need help with your skimmable resume, head over to Work It Daily, because we can help you there with that. So now, If it's your resume that's the problem, we would address that. The second thing that could be the problem is your connection story. So it's very important that you're able to articulate to them why you're one of them. So what is it about the business model that you respect and admire, and where is that coming from? The connection story is what differentiates you. When 50 people all have the exact same experience and the resume looks the same, now we've got to pick something about who we're going to move forward. So companies will pick the person that has the deepest connection to the mission of the company, to why the company exists. So you proactively articulating that when you're doing the outreach is very important. We call this the disruptive cover letter. It's not really a cover letter. It looks nothing like a cover letter. It is a story. The reason we call it a cover letter is that's what they think they're getting. Then when they open it up, they're like, oh my gosh, what is this? And it's the connection story written around this idea of, hey, here's why I get your company. And we have a whole, again, framework and structure on how to write that, a template for that, and can help proof that for you over at Work It Daily. So resume could be an issue. Connection story could be an issue. But then the third thing that really I think is important is being able to match yourself 100% to the job. So a tool that we built at Work It Daily that's called the Job Matching Matrix. I've talked about it on the podcast before. This is a tool that lets you match yourself 100% in this format to the job description. And this really helps a hiring manager look at you and go, check, 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 check. Hey, they match everything we asked for. Resumes, no matter what, it's still hard to match you. But when you go the extra step and provide a job matching matrix, you're literally providing hard evidence proof that you are a 100% match for the job. And so I would be putting together that document as something that they could pass forward to the hiring manager directly. I will tell you right now, with our members, the job matching matrix is fire. Like multiple times a day, members are posting because they all share and support one another. Oh my gosh, I just got an interview. Recruiter said job matching matrix was amazing. Oh my gosh, I just got a job interview, sent the job matching matrix to the hiring manager. They loved it. It's just because it's so hard to match people to jobs these days. It's you taking your resume apart and saying, okay, here's exactly what you need to know for my resume and how it matches to the job. And there's a little secret sauce to it in our job matching matrix, which is features to features, right? If they're listing out job requirements, those are the features they're looking for in a candidate, and then you're matching your own features up to them. But good marketers know that we buy the benefits. And that means what will the features do for us? So in your case, when you're being hired, your features save money, make money, solve problems, alleviate pain. That's why you're hired. So when you use our job matching matrix and you add in this middle column that talks about how you save money, make money, those benefits, so to speak, oh, it's like a double chef's kiss. And so again, folks, if you want to learn our resume and get help with it, the disruptive cover letter, the connection story, the job matching matrix, they're all inside Work It Daily. Just go on over, work with the team. Let's get you just your tools updated, because if you're back channeling but not getting through, that's when I'm saying, okay, something's off with your tools, right? It's already, back channeling is the thing that most people shy away from. Quite frankly, people are just too chicken and they're afraid of rejection, when in reality, you just shouldn't care, because all it takes is one person getting you to a hiring manager that could change your whole life, you know? And so moving in that direction and then thinking about the tools, that's when I would be concerned about your tools. So I hope that helps. Do you think things will improve after the years? Yeah. Do you think things will improve after the first year? Yeah. So what's my forecast on 2025 in the job market? So folks, I've been doing this for 2 decades. I was there for the dot-com bust. I was there for the Great Recession of 2008. And there are some indicators that I specifically look for that will tell me when we're going to see this shift. Okay. Now, I want you to know that back in 2023, we knew this was coming. And the reason we knew this was coming was because the first domino fell, and that was the tech layoffs. If you go back and look, there was out of the blue a whole bunch of tech layoffs happening in 2023, but nobody really cared. Nobody's really paying attention. Okay. Once tech starts to lay off in droves, eventually the other industries follow suit. And that's exactly what's happened in 2024. Tech kept laying off, and now all the other industries are falling. Now, this happens. Go look it up. This is history. I'm not making it up. History repeating itself. Okay. So now what we're trying to figure out is when the pendulum will swing the other way. So these are the things we look for. First, we look for, hey, have the layoffs in tech stopped? And they have. So that's a little good news right now, Leah. But the second thing we look for is companies start to hire contract workers. So all those companies that laid off, the big ones, once they level out, they don't just start hiring full-time workers again. They hire temporary workers. So what we look for is the staffing companies. Once they start to surge, once they start to say their business is picking up, we know that they're hiring more contract, which a lot of those people will end up going permanent. So they hire them as contractors first and then permanent. So little insider tip, if you all aren't registered with a staffing agency, you should be, because staffing agencies can get you into companies that you can't otherwise get into and then eventually get offered a permanent job, right? So think about that. So when I see the staffing industries picking up again, I will be able to tell you that we're starting to see the real turnaround. My prediction is that you're not going to see this until the second half of 2025. The first 6 months of 2025 are going to be tough. And I'll tell you why. First of all, there are a whole bunch of people still holding out for remote jobs that aren't going to get them. Companies are driving people back into the office, and the remote jobs that are staying remote, a lot of them are being sent offshore. And a lot of companies are lowering the salary bands on those, meaning, hey, I used to pay $80,000 a year for this job remote, but there's so many people that want it. I can get the same quality talent for $50,000. You better believe a company's going to do that. So there's a lot of people sitting around right now trying to hold out for a higher paying job fully remote that aren't going to get it. That's just the reality. And the longer you sit unemployed, the harder it is to get what you want. I'll give you a great example. In the dot-com bust, I had a lot of software engineers who were making $100,000 when they lost their job and all the companies went belly up. And they would get offers for jobs that paid $75,000 or $80,000, and they'd be like, nope, I want my $100,000. Meanwhile, they burned through their savings, burned through their 401k, and 9 months later, we're taking a job for $65,000. The sooner you get hired after a layoff, the faster you can get back to the salary you were making. Because the day you take a job, you don't stop looking for work. Now we upgrade you. Now we say, okay, you got hired again. You close the gap. You've got a paycheck. Now we start strategically getting companies who want to cherry pick you away. And the way they do that is by what? Paying you more money. This is the psychology that nobody understands. So these are the things that you have to think about in this market. And these are the decisions you need to make, and why you should be working with a career coach who can look at your situation and say, here's what you need to be doing. Here's how we're going to get you back to where you want to be, right? There are baby steps that you're going to take in this market to get there. But if you take them, you can get back to where you are faster. But unfortunately, there's going to be a whole bunch of people that sit around, keep only applying online, keep holding out for a job that's much higher or remote or has a whole set of combination of things that are just not possible or available right now. And they're burning cash. And I don't want that for you. The sooner you get back to work, the sooner we can plan your next move and get you into a higher position. I hope that helps. Let's see. All right. Looks like I've been answering a lot of your questions. This is good. Very, very good. Okay. What do you do when you're currently working and you want to find a new job and they're asking if they can contact your former or your current employer? So it is okay to tell them no, that they can't contact your current employer. And I think that's pretty standard practice. No good company should be contacting your current employer and outing you in the sense that you're looking for a job. So you can say, contact my former employers. Yes. And you should say yes. Any former employers, you better say yes. Because if you say they're a former employer and you can't contact them, you've basically just revealed that you left on bad terms. And now we're going to wonder why. But as long as you can say, yes, you can contact any of my former employers, it is okay to say no. You can't contact my current employer. And if there's space, you can say current employer doesn't know I'm looking, which actually works in your favor because it makes you look more in demand. Awesome. All right, listen, I'm going to stop here for a second and tell you about something. I saw a question here about Black Friday discounts, etc. All right, I have two things for you. So first of all, We did a Black Friday, Cyber Monday deal that we've carried through this week. And it's a quarterly subscription to our platform that saves you 30%. So instead of paying monthly, you can pay once every 3 months. By the way, you can cancel at any time. There are no setup fees, but you save 30% on our services. And if any of you watching this already have a membership with me, great news. You can go into your billing right inside our platform because, by the way, you can go in our platform, cancel, upgrade, downgrade, anything right inside our platform. All right. So if any of you are like on a monthly subscription with me and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to save a ton of money and go quarterly, you can go in there right now. It'll totally fix it for you. But I will tell you that the average job search right now is going to take you a minimum of 3 months. I'm going to be honest, where no other career coach will tell you this. The data shows on LinkedIn that companies are taking 13 weeks or more to hire. So from the moment they post a job to the moment they say the job's been filled, it's averaging over 13 weeks, over 3 months. So if you're looking for work right now, from the moment you get your first interview to finally getting the offer, it's going to take a minimum of 3 months on average. In that time, if you want to speed it up and have more opportunities, learning the right way to look for work, the right resume, the right LinkedIn profile, the right cover letter, the right interview answers, all of these things, this is what we teach you in Work It Daily to speed things up for you. So if you're interested, you can save big right now on a quarterly membership, right? And for those of you that are like, JT, I'm skeptical. I'm still not sure I even want to do a 7-day free trial. By the way, you get a 7-day free trial with that. I'm still skeptical. I don't want to do any of that. Fine. I have news for you. We built a free resource center. We took 4 of our most popular webinars and we put them in one place for you. Lifetime access, no credit card required. All right. The Job Search Bootcamp, how to choose a career path, your strength self-assessment, and break through your career burnout. 4 of our most all-time popular webinars are now in one place in a free resource center. No credit card, lifetime access. Link is in my bio down here, or go to workitdaily.com and you will see in the menu free job tools. So if you want to start there and see what it's like to be coached by my team and I, that is a great and safe place to start. But if you're sure you're ready and you want to really speed things up, quarterly membership right now is going to save you 30%, and you get a 7-day free trial. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time today. Remember, every Tuesday, every Wednesday, every Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 a.m. Pacific, I am here live answering your questions on Just Ask JT. So be sure to subscribe on YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn. You'll get the notifications, the reminders. By the way, all the recordings are over in a podcast on YouTube. You can go watch all the past ones. But most importantly, don't give up. The only way you're going to fail at getting what you want in your career is if you give up. If you want to earn more, stress less, and love your work, you get out what you put in. And you can't just work in your job. That's not enough these days. You have to work on your career. That's what I do with you. Work on your career so you make good decisions, right? You move in the right direction. These are the keys. And everyone deserves a career coach. Everyone. Think about businesses. They have teams of advisors. They have boards of directors. They have a C-suite full of people all making group decisions. You are in business all by yourself, but you don't have to be that lonely. You can have a board of advisor. Having a coach is going to make you do better things, smarter things, more efficient things. You're going to get results. So your first step is following me here and coming to the lives. That's a step in the right direction. Second step, grab the free resource center, watch the webinars. And when you're really ready to speed things up, catapult your career, you know what to do. Grab a 7-day free trial over at Work It Daily, okay? All right. I love you all, and I will see you back here tomorrow. Yes? Okay. Take care, everybody. Have a good one.